Okay, shout out to Emma Chamberlain. When I work on the pre-production of anything, I usually do not do pre-production at all, and I regret it every time. Sometimes I get lucky, or I over pre-produce, and then I'm still not happy with it, because just like any other creative or filmmaker, you feel like you're never good enough. Your work is never good enough. But before jumping in, the importance of pre-production, let's cue the video.
Yesterday I walked past the cafe and heard a man say that hope cannot exist in the past, nor can it in the present. Hope can only exist in the future. I wanted to know more, but at that point I just left home and I was running late. He was waiting for me on the corner of Hollywood and La Brea. We were going to see The Last Adam before I go back home. That night I experienced what it was like to be empty of fare and filled with what felt like an overflow of new wine. This morning I woke up without the usual anxiety attack. I dreamed that I was exactly where I wanted to be. In the future.
So for me, why pre-production is super important is because without it, you don't have anything to build off of. Like when you build into the vision that you have your project or even your life, and you do not have a foundation, the pre-production to work from, like things tend to fall over and not work out. And this isn't always the case. Like I personally know run and gun filmmakers that are crazy good at what they do. But for me and my house, we will pre-produce as much as we can. And how I got the entire idea of Avant de Partir, I first said it wrong because it was English, it was before leaving, and then, anyway, I'll get to that now. But I was driving home one night from the theater, and some weird old memory popped into my head of when I was a kid and my cousins and I would ride quads in the field in front of their house, and hours would go by. And right before I had to leave, I remember the feeling that I had. Like it sucked and it was horrible because I knew I had to leave, but I was also happy because I just had the time of my life. And that's what I wanted to capture. I was like, I want to be able to show that emotion, that feeling when you just had the time of your life, but you know you're about to leave. I don't know. It's a weird thing to communicate, but I hope I communicated it well enough in the video. So I wrote a poem about it. I knew that for the poem, I wanted to make a crazy visual, a crazy video, and I wanted to be better than anything else that I've ever created for myself, and not for a client. So I didn't know where to start. And the first thing that I knew was to not use my own voice, firstly, and secondly, maybe get someone foreign to do the voiceover. So I messaged one of my friends, Silvio in Belgium, like, hey dude, do you know any French girls maybe that would be keen to do a voiceover? He said yes. He put me in contact with Rania, she's a French girl from Canada, and that's how Avant de Partir became the French narrated video. So I asked one of my friends to model. So we have a model, we have a voiceover artist, and we have my camera. Sorted, right? Wrong Weasley. Like that is, like it's not enough. I usually try and focus on 3 things when it comes to pre-production, and this is why you are here, and that whole thing was just the intro. So the first thing that I try to focus on is go the extra mile. When it comes to your pre-production, always go the extra mile. This means to never settle. I think our generation, Gen Z, millennial, that kind of in between, I don't know, we're really good at like finding what's wrong, and that's not always a bad thing. Like we're really good at like to know where we fall short or where others fall short or where society falls short. But I don't think that's where like our biggest fall is. I think our biggest fall, I think it's great. I think our biggest fall is that we tend to nail down on that one thing and we never go deeper than just that. And the same comes with pre-production or cinematography or styling or makeup or whatever. Like, yes, nail down on one thing, but always, always go deeper. Never settle, and always ask yourself, hey, this is great, but how can I do better? So the first thing I knew that I had to get right is the location. And the first thing I usually ask myself is, okay, cool. Is it an exterior shoot or an interior shoot? And I've done a lot of interior stuff the past couple of months. I was like, okay, cool. Like I wanna try out something outside. So I jumped on Pinterest and I saw this amazing picture of a girl lying down on like a stool thing in a big field of like short grass. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I got in the car and I drove outside to the winelands of Stellenbosch, and I didn't find anything. After 90 minutes, I called it because gas is money, and time too. And then I went home, and the following day I was like, I'm not gonna settle. Like I'm gonna go the extra mile to find the perfect location. I drove the same way. This time I didn't go right, but I went left, and 10 minutes outside of Stellenbosch, I found the perfect location with big grass up a field, mountains in the back, trees on the left, trees on the right. It was insane. But now I had to get permission to film there, and I went to 4 different farmers, and none of them could tell me whose farm it was. Everyone was like, no, it's that guy's, no, it's that guy's, no, it's theirs, blah, blah, blah. In the end, I didn't ask permission. I wouldn't recommend that. Always get permission when you film. But yeah, now we had a location. The second thing I found really important is having the right people around you. And this means, as corny or as stupid as it might sound, to have people around you aren't going to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear when it comes to your pre-production process, like your first initial thoughts, the vision that you have, like the idea, the concept. Always have a second set of ears that can, or second set of eyes that can just give you advice on what they think. And there's a fine line between good criticism and someone not understanding the vision that you have for it. I think the best way to eliminate that is to have the right people. For me, it's Damien. He's a guy who placed the camera in my hand. I trust him. He's a genius. He's creative, and I know he's better than me. And that's the thing. You need to surround yourself with people who are better than you, even if it's hard to admit. And then the second thing is to have a second or third or fourth or fifth set of hands to help on the day, because there's just something special when you create not alone and with others. And it's also, as corny as that might seem, your client is gonna love it because it's not just you, it's a whole crew that show up. So get an assistant, get a behind the scenes shooter, get a stylist, or just a friend for emotional support. It's gonna take your project to the next level. Austin Kleon wrote in his one book, Steal Like an Artist, and I'm gonna read it because I'm not gonna remember the perfect quote, just the gist of it. He wrote, copy your heroes, examine where you fall short, what's in there that makes you different. That's what you should amplify and transform into your own work. And I 100% agree with this. Have heroes, have people that you look up to, get inspiration from, and work from that. When I was grade 10, I was at a conference where Robert Madu spoke, and he said, it's okay if you steal someone's message if you communicate it better. And I agree with that 100%. And I think the best way to make it better is to make it your own. Use where you fall short. Use the way that you communicate and make it personal to make it better. This was my final step of the whole pre-production process. Other than a shot list, I guess, because if you're going to a shoot and you don't know what you want to get, it's not going to be worth it at all. So when you shoot, know what you want to capture, know what you want to shoot, write it down on a book, a note app, with a reminder app, whatever works for you, write it down. It's just going to make everything 100 times better. But back to everything else, the final step. For this video, my final step, I jumped onto Instagram of people I follow, and I jumped into Pinterest, and I was flooded with all these ideas, but then I narrowed it down and I found all the inspiration that I was looking for. I threw it into a mood board, and I also knew that I wanted to kind of separate the model from the background, from the location, even though it was beautiful, but I just felt like it's going to tell the story a little bit better. So I was like, okay, cool. How can I do that? And I came across these two girls with a red draping across them. And I knew that's what I'm going to do. And I was like, okay, but I want more. So I got a ladder, I got a book, I got so many things that I just like threw in there to tell the story, to just add a little bit of a narrative. So I threw everything into a keynote treatment and I sent it off to the team. I even made a little shot listing. And if you wanted to have a look at that treatment, it is linked below. When you steal like an artist, when you get inspiration from others and see what others have done and make it better, always remember that you're getting inspiration and not to compare yourself. I find myself doing that all the time. I had a shoot 2 weeks ago where I saw a couple of pictures and I was like, man, I want to do that. So we came into this room and I wanted to do light shaping and light bending. Was it a cool idea? Yeah. Did I do the treatment and the whole pre-production thing for it? Yeah, that is also in the bio. Sorry, my mind forgot that word. But did it work out? No, it didn't. But next time I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna do better. And after a while, when we just keep on doing this and working on our own craft, people are gonna start looking at our work and go, man, I wish that I can do that one day. And I'm not there yet, but I hope that I can be one day. So to sum it all up, number one is go the extra mile. Whether it's with pre-production, cinematography, styling, whatever it is in life, go the extra mile. Number two, also in life, surround yourself with the right people. People are going to tell you what you don't want to hear. People are going to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. And number three, and I never stated that it's number three, but we just jumped into it, is use what others are doing and make it better. So if you like this video, leave a comment, leave a like. I really appreciate that you watched this. My name is Fritz Visser, and I'll see you on the next one.